Welcome everybody to the Sharpshooters Presents a Gentleman Discussion 2. I'm here with my buddy Manny from not only the Sharpshooters Wrestling Podcast, but also the Untitled Manny and Marcus Show. Manny, how's everything going, buddy?
I'm doing good. As you can see, everything's still in boxes, so moving at the end of the month, so it should be a good thing. I hope.
Yeah. I think everybody needs a change every now and then. I think it's gonna work out just fine. It's gonna be fine.
How you doing?
So, man, I'm good. I'm better. The new year didn't come in. 2021 is here. I'm good. I'm 10 toes down, as they say.
I did not know what that meant.
I don't either. I heard it a couple years ago, but it sounded motivational, so I was like, I'm gonna go with it. 10 toes down. I guess it means I'm still standing.
But you're standing on your tiptoes. That means like you're on edge. No?
If you think of it that way, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I'm still here. How about that? We'll just say that I'm still here above ground. Oh, man. So, right off the bat, let's get things kicked off with a question dealing with wrestling because we're here to have a gentleman's discussion. And that question is, how do you, Manny, feel about older stars coming back to, I don't want to say take spots from younger people, but I mean, I guess that's the general feeling. But how do you feel about it?
I don't mind it, provided it's kind of a moment, not this guy's coming back for a match. I don't need that. Like, I don't need, in the current stage of things, I don't need Goldberg coming back to have title matches. Like, the Goldberg versus Undertaker thing in Saudi Arabia, that's fine. Because they're both old dudes and they're doing something. And it's not got enough, it's not interrupting any storyline kind of thing in the long run. It's kind of in Saudi, out of the way. Because none of that Saudi stuff comes back into, like, the full run of what's going on in WWE. And if it's like what they're doing on AEW, where they're helping out stars rather than taking a full run into it, like you've got Taz being a mouthpiece, you've got Tully being a mouthpiece and guide, and you've got Arn kind of, I don't like Arn, but but like you've got Arn supporting Cody, but like getting Cody over, being Cody's guide and stuff like that. That kind where they're not the focus, I don't mind. But when they start becoming the focus and a focal point, that's when it starts becoming a problem. Like what I feel like what's happening with Goldberg. We don't need to see a 50-year-old man or a 49-year-old man being world heavyweight champion. How do you feel about it?
See, and I feel the exact same way. Where like if he's coming back and he's like in the corner of a wrestler, I'm all right with that. Or I'm already even all right if it's a one-off, but I think something like this, where it's the Royal Rumble, it's a big show. I'm not really feeling that. If this was like No Mercy or a little side show, it'd be all right. But this is the Royal Rumble. This was out of the blue. And the other thing that bothered me about it, this particular one, was there was nothing connecting it to a story. It was just like, well, I'm mad because of what you said, and it's like, where have you been? Where'd you come from? You know, it needs to make some kind of sense, at least. You know.
But so for me, for when you look back at it, so like, I can't remember how many years ago it now was, but like, it was the exact same thing with Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble, where I think it was the Royal Rumble, maybe the pay-per-view after that, where
I think it was after.
Where he basically lost it he lost the Universal title after about 20 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then he did the exact same to the Fiend. And it's just like, you're trying to get this Fiend character over as being like a supernatural badass, which I get because the Undertaker's now losing steam, and you kind of want this supernatural character, and that would be the Fiend. But you've already tarnished that by burying him against Goldberg. And now, now it's exactly going to happen with Drew if they let him win.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, another thing is, if you keep bringing these old guys back, who are you going to bring back in 20 years? You know, like when when there's a newer set of guys out there, like who are you going to bring back? You know, how are you going to have new future? Who's going to be the new future? I guess is what I'm looking at. Like that, it kind of hurts. Where if Drew can't get past this 50, almost 60-year-old man, what future does he have? You know, who is this helping?
But the problem. Do you know what the problem is? It's because everything's is ratings driven, so they're going to continue to do that, and bringing back these old stars is causing a spike in the ratings. And like, if you go by what everyone's wanting or hoping for, I wouldn't say everyone's hoping for, but like, you look at the story that Roman Reigns is telling with being the tribal chief and everything. What's the next step everyone's looking for? It's The Rock. Everyone wants The Rock in, like, for that WrestleMania like big bump in ratings. So it works both ways. But like, if you're going to be mad at Goldberg, you kind of got to be mad if you want to bring in The Rock like that as well. Right.
That makes sense. And I feel too that kind of probably plays a part in the older who's older, because it's probably more about feel than anything. Like you said, when The Rock comes back, probably, you know, people will be happy, but at the same time, this is Goldberg. You don't expect much from Goldberg, so that's probably where the anger or whatever is coming from, because of who it is, as opposed to, I mean, you know, like I said, who it is, I guess you'll say.
It's also interesting, like, because there was this image that was brought up by Shawn Michaels and AJ Styles leading into a Royal Rumble match, was them two having a match, and it was a few years ago. And I think Shawn Michaels actually spoke on that, saying it wouldn't make any sense for him to come back to have a match with AJ, because what's going to happen is if he wins, AJ looks weak. But then if AJ wins, he's just beating Shawn Michaels, and that's it. Like an old Shawn Michaels. So I think Shawn Michaels has got the point of, like, there's no point kind of having these like kind of matches, because there's no come up from it. Like, you don't benefit from it really. Like, right. Even if you look at Baron Corbin, he's the one that had Kurt Angle's last match, and like, it hasn't benefited him at any point, has it? So like, you're right. So like, even if Drew was to beat Goldberg, just like Braun Strowman beat Goldberg at WrestleMania, has it done anything for their careers? I don't think it has.
I agree. I completely agree. So let me ask you this: does that fall on the company, or does that fall on the talent?
I don't. When you look at it, if you beat up an old man, what does that really prove?
Right.
Like, realistically, if you beat up an old man, what does that really prove? But if you get your ass beat by an old man, that just proves that you're a piece of shit. No?
Yeah. I mean, you got beat up by an elderly man. You know, you need to reevaluate your career or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, and the only reason I'm kind of okay with it is because I think about the NWA and that dude, what was his name? Was it not Tony Storm?
Tim Storm?
Tim Storm, yeah, that's him. Tim Storm. He's pretty up there, but he can still go. And it's like, you know, they treat him, you know, with I guess with higher respect or whatever. Like, yeah, he's old, but he can still move and he can still do stuff. And it's like, if you beat him, you beat somebody. Whereas in WWE, it doesn't kind of feel like that, where it's like you came back for whatever reason, you had gone. So, I mean, your stock hasn't really gone up or down. It's just, you're just there. So,
I think,
you know, like you said, what good is this going to do?
I think it's a bit different because the NWA is a bit more slower paced. It's not that like high flying like wrestling is now, where NWA is a bit of the old school. Whereas, like, if you look at WWE now, it's a mesh of styles, all under the WWE umbrella. Whereas AEW is more the new style. So, like, you can wrestle to a bit of more older age in like New Japan, NWA, because that's the type of styles they have. But like, in the WWE and AEW, I think you'll get found out very quickly. And I think the only person that can really wrestle that old school style at the moment and that's doing it is Orton. No one else is doing that. Orton's matches are a lot more slower paced, thought out, whereas like everyone else is like, I gotta hit this spot, I gotta do this, I gotta do that.
Buy our merchandise. These are our t-shirts. That's our mask. Buy whatever you can. Help the sharpshooters and the Untitled Media and Market Show any way you can. We will really appreciate everything you do for us.
So what do you think about Sting in AEW and how AEW are currently using him?
Honestly, I mean, right now it seems all right, but I'm kind of at a wait and see because like all he's really done is walked out, and I guess his aura, his past or whatever, has intimidated people where they know what he's capable of, but he hasn't done anything to really hurt anybody. It's like he hasn't like hit anybody, but people kind of are like, "Yo, that's Sting. We ain't fooling with that guy, man. He got a bat. He can kill somebody. So we just not gonna fool with him." Just the fear of Sting is more intimidating than Sting himself. But at the same time, I think that can run out real quick because it's just like if he's not going to do nothing, somebody need to do something to stop him because he's just walking. He's just walking and bringing snow with him, you know.
So I ask you this because me and Marcus have brought this up on the Untitled Media and Market Show last Thursday. How much more time do you give for that? Because realistically, I believe me and Marcus felt that it's kind of starting to run its time, where he needs to do something. Otherwise, it's this is being drawn out to be like wasteful, almost like. Do you remember that time when Jericho came out and he just wouldn't speak?
Mm-hmm.
That went on for too long. This Sting coming out and like not really saying his intentions. It's starting to feel a bit like that, where it's dragging on and it's getting boring now. Because the whole it's Sting when he appeared, yeah, it was a cool moment. I didn't really think it was that cool. Marcus did. He even wore the Sting shirt for the show. I didn't find it that it was a 61-year-old man. I just don't find that like that's worse than Goldberg in my eyes.
See, I think it was cool, like you said, when it first happened, because it is Sting. And I guess since I grew up a Sting fan, you know, Sting was always my number 2, number 3 guy. So when it happened, it was like, oh, shoot, it's Sting. And I thought he was still working with WWE. So it really shocked me. So I was all right with it. But like you said, it is starting to run its course now. It's like, okay, why are you here? What are you doing? What do you want? Are you like Darby's Godfather now or something? Like, what's your role? We need to know your intentions. And I feel like I don't have an exact date, but I feel like soon it's running its course and it's gonna, you know, lose people's interest. And they need to step it up and just say why he's here and what he wants or whatever.
So the last time we saw Sting in a ring in a match, he seemed quite limited as it was anyway. At that point, he was close. He was probably, 57, 58?
That sounds about right.
Prior to getting injured by Seth Rollins. How would you feel if he was to have another match?
From what I've heard, they're probably gonna do a cinematic match, so I'm okay with it. I don't think he should get in the ring. I don't, because the way his match ended with Seth, he's lucky he's walking. So I don't think he should get in the ring. Maybe 1, maybe 2 cinematic matches, okay, because you can edit those, you can fix those up, you can do stuff with them where Sting doesn't have to get hurt or get knocked down or anything. So that I would be okay with. But in the actual ring, in the arena, no, don't do that. I don't want to see that. That's kind of scary. And like you said, he's a 60 some odd year old man. He's probably pretty I mean, I'm sure he himself feels like he's okay, but after what I saw the last time, I'm a little nervous. I don't want to see that man get paralyzed or nothing like that. So
they're talking a multi-year deal. So where does that put him? Because he's bound to have a couple of these matches then.
Yeah, he could probably do some cinematic matches, and he could manage somebody, and that's cool, because Arn is still managing people. Arn is managing Cody, so he doesn't have to take many bumps. I mean, and he's standing there staring at people now, and it's working. So if he's a manager, he can still do that. Just stand there with his bat and be like, back up, and with the bat pointed at you, and be like, back up, and he doesn't have to do anything. But I don't really want to. I don't think he's going to take too many bumps, as they say. I don't see that happening.
I do need to correct you on one thing about the bat pointing.
Mm-hmm.
Powerhouse Hobbs was not afraid of that man. I'm telling you now, he was charging. He was being held back. He was being held. He was not scared of that man.
Right, I forgot about that part. And I think that plays into his character, where everybody else is like, "Yo, man, don't fool with him," and Hobbs is like, "Nah, I can take him. I can do it." So that kind of, I guess, elevates Hobbs a little bit, where it's like everybody else is scared, but Hobbs isn't. So, maybe that makes Hobbs look good.
Well, Hobbs was running around with a steel chair for numerous amounts of weeks.
I forgot about that too. Yeah, just swinging it for no reason. Yeah, I remember that, man, that you said it. But so, yeah, he's probably the crazy one of the group.
So you were talking about serious injury. So another person like last year that came back from serious injury was Edge. And how do you feel about him on his multi-year deal with WWE coming back to face Orton?
Actually, I was okay with that because he was facing Orton, and honestly, to me, Orton, he is a full-timer, and I only know this because I heard him say an interview about it. He's kind of not full-time, where he wants to phase out a little bit, and I think him working with Edge was fine because he's full-time. He's got the full-time status, but he doesn't really feel like a full-timer to me. He feels like he says, he's like a legend. And I was okay with him working with Edge because Edge is a legend too. I don't think Edge was going to be there all the time. So I think it was fine. Two I don't want to say part-time, but yeah, two part-timers working it out, and it's not affecting anything. It was okay.
Yeah, I very much felt like I got the huge pop of Edge returning at the Royal Rumble last year, and then this slow worked program between Randy Orton and Edge, where it was a really good story, and it didn't detract from everyone around them. It really didn't detract from anyone around them, and like. Orton isn't going to lose any star power for losing to Edge. They told a better story because Edge is still in his 40s, so it wasn't too bad. I feel like it's bad when you're starting to try and get rubs from people in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah, because it's like we said earlier, like what rub do you have to give? You're an old man now. What have you done?
Yeah.
It's kind of like beating Ric Flair now.
Yeah, but like we all saw Flair for the last how many years would you say when you looked at Flair when he was still going? Were you like, man, you should really stop?
Like I've been watching it for years, so it was a lot of years when I was saying that. It's like it's time to stop, man. Come on, man. It was to the point where my uncle was saying it's time to stop. So
it's like when boxers come back because they've blown all their money and they've come back just for a payday, and that their heart's not in it. They haven't trained well, and you can see it in them. It's just like, why are you here?
Right, kind of like when you used to talk about boxers. Kind of like when Muhammad Ali came back to face Larry Holmes years ago, and he was out of shape. He wasn't into the fight, and it took a toll on him, and he got hurt bad. So yeah,
it's just like you tarnish your legacy by what you do afterwards.
Yeah, it's like you ended well, and for whatever reason, you came back and just messed everything up, basically.
But sometimes they do feel like when you watch the Undertaker documentary, it's like he's got to end it the right way.
It sounds like there are pluses and minuses to using legends in today's wrestling, but I think to me anyway, it all boils down to how the company follows up with the use of the legends.
I feel like it's more along the lines of what their purpose is. Like, if it's detracting or taking away a spot from someone that's on the up, it's not a good thing to do. That's my closing statement on that.
Yeah, I can respect that. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here this week, but you know what? We'll be back and we'll have some more. We'll talk some more have a decent discussion on wrestling, a gentleman's discussion, if you will.
When he says we'll be back, we won't be back after like 6 months when we last recorded the last
one. Keep them guessing. We'll be back at some point, sometime in the future. But real quick, man, you don't have anything to plug, do you?
I'm on this network.
Yeah. All right. Just making sure, because I've got quite a few things to plug. So I wanted to give you a fair shot at it. But real quick, I want to plug my books, AWO Big Time Players Episode 1, The Beginning of Change. AWO Big Time Players Episode 2, Continuing to Grow. They're both available at Amazon. You can pick them both up for $15.98, not a piece, but together as a set, as a whole.
I would normally have those all up to hold, but they're in this box.
At least you know where they are, so that's a plus. Easy access. I've started working on episode 3. So Manny, I'm going to be reaching out to you because I got a character I need your help with, if that's okay.
It's my character, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Also, I want to plug my travel agency, emersoncotton.n.w.a. Swing by there if you and your family want to go on a trip or trip anywhere. I got you. I can help you with that. I can also help you start your own business. So give me a call at 410-202-5227. And this is something I just got into. So I want to try something new. If you do need somebody motivational to speak at your school, church, or wherever, reach out to me at that same number, 410-202-5227, and let's talk, because this year I want to not just pull myself up, but I want to pull other people up too. So that's all I got this week. Manny, I appreciate your time, and let's do this again.
Yep. And remember to like the video, subscribe, and click that notification bell, and hit up www.storefrontier.com/DSPN for your Sharpshooters merch.
Get yourself some Sharpie merch. Yes. Anyway, for Manny, I'm Adrian Cotton. Thank you so much for your time, and we will see you next time. See you later. Bye.